Jamaica just suffered hurricane damage equal to more than half of the country's entire economy, 56.7% of GDP. That's what the Finance Minister told Parliament. But in the very same speech, the government is projecting economic growth next year. Growth after devastation on that scale. Welcome to Scoping Jamaica. This is a channel where we slow things down and look at the numbers, what was actually said, what was actually done, and whether the policies actually make sense. Here, we don't get distracted by fancy words, long speeches, or political theatre. We strip it back to the facts, the numbers, the policies, and the real-world outcomes. Because too often in Jamaica, we get caught up in personalities and entertainment, and lose sight of the things that actually drive growth, opportunity, and stability for you and your family. So on this channel, we don't argue personalities, we examine policies, we don't repeat talking points, we ask questions, and we don't accept narratives without evidence. This is a space where you think for yourself, where we take sense out of nonsense, and where the hard questions are asked without fear or prejudice. If that sounds like the kind of conversation Jamaica needs more of, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
This new budget comes a little over 4 months after the Category 5 Hurricane Melissa, that at the last tally of the damage and loss left us with a bill of some US $12.2 billion, or 56.7% of our 2024 GDP, according to PIOJ's latest estimate. For the current fiscal year that we're ending, the Category 5 Hurricane Melissa year, the PIOJ now estimates that GDP growth will be negative 1.4% for the full year, for the full fiscal year 2025-26, given the significant fallout in the October to December quarter, which was a quarter in which the Category 5 hurricane battered the western parishes. Madam Speaker, both PIOJ and the Bank of Jamaica have had positive revisions to the GDP estimates. The primary impetus for this is the speed with which the economy is rebounding. For the new fiscal year, which will start on April 1, 2026, fiscal year 2026-27, the PIOJ projects that the economy will return to growth in the range of positive 1 to 2%.
So before accepting that projection, we need to step back and ask a basic economic question. How does an economy rebound that quickly after destruction on that scale? Now, step back and consider the broader reality Jamaicans have been living through. The country was already dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl before Melissa struck. Communities were still rebuilding, agriculture was still recovering, and infrastructure repairs were ongoing. Then another major hurricane hits, with damage estimated at more than half of the country's entire economic output. So the question Jamaicans should be asking themselves is simple and unavoidable. If the economy is absorbing damage on that scale, and recovery from previous storms was still underway, what exactly is driving this projected economic rebound? Where is the reconstruction financing? Which sectors are expected to grow fast enough to offset that level of destruction? And does this projection reflect the reality people on the ground are actually experiencing?